Hello everyone! I just wanted to hop on here and do a little impromptu live because I feel like I get DMs and like comments and messages all the time with kind of the same questions. So I thought I would hop on here and do a little business FAQ, if you will. Hello, how are you? Okay, first question, I get this one all the time, is what should I be posting to Instagram? And so for this question, I'm gonna assume that you are a business owner. So when you're posting to Instagram and you're asking, what should I post? The question, hey, I've never been to Texas, but I would love to go. What should I post? You need to know, like, who is your ideal client? Like, who are you trying to serve? Who are you trying to help? What are their pain points? Like, what are the things that they are looking for? Like, what are they on Instagram for? Are they looking to be educated? Are they looking to be inspired? Can you share about your product or service in a way that's not salesy, but you're showing them how to use it, you're showing them how it can benefit them, you're showing them how it can solve their problems. If you're a service-based business, it's like, how can you introduce yourself and how can you, I guess, basically like connect with people? Because when people feel comfortable with you and you show up consistently, it builds like that trust factor. And when people know you and like you and trust you, they will always buy from you. So as a business owner, that's really what you need to be doing when you're on Instagram, is like showing up consistently, posting content that your ideal client is going to find valuable, whether that's like educating them about your product or service. They're posting something that's like, I guess basically like you're thinking about how you can explain solving like their pain points. Like, is it going to be like entertainment? Like, could you post like quotes or like something funny related to like your niche? But a way that I kind of like to do it is like, you need to sort of know what your brand is and then figure out like what are 5 things that you love, but also like it doesn't have to tie into your business, but it like your business should be one of those pillars, and then the other 4 things can just be things about like how to get to know you, or like things that you like doing, or like, for example, like the 5 things that I usually rotate through are like business tips, or like social media tips, or like travel, or like quotes, or stuff about like crystals or manifestation or mindset. And so like I kind of know what my 5 things are that I'm going to cycle through. And so that also helps like build that consistency, because you're posting you're posting like the same things, and so that's going to show you up consistently, and then people kind of learn what to expect from you. So if you can kind of pick 5 things that you can cycle through talking about that relate to you or your brand or your business, and then just consistently posting to those things, thinking about how you can answer your clients' pain points with it, whether that's like within the comments, or like the like video content you're posting, or like showing up on a live, or showing up in your Instagram stories. But you're just looking for ways to connect with people and have them connect with you as a person, as well as explain like how you can help them solve their problems. The next question I get all the time is like, how did you get started in your business? And this is kind of a long one, because I guess my business has pivoted quite a bit over time. So I guess if we're going back to the beginning, when I was 19, I started as a photographer, and I was doing mostly fashion photography at that point in time. And so that was probably like 10 years ago now. I feel like I'm really dating myself. Oh, sorry, my questions just went away because they were on my computer. So I started as a photographer, and then like everything that I really knew, everything I really learned about running a business, whether it was like marketing or like how to make a website or like branding, that all came out of learning about it for photography. And then I'm still work as a photographer, but like not as much, I guess. And so out of all of that, I felt like the questions people always had for me was like, oh, like, how do you market yourself? Or like, how do I do this? Like, they were all questions around how to run a business. And so through that, I started teaching workshops on social media strategy. And then from that, it's evolved into like one-on-one coaching, because I think you can just serve people on a way deeper level through coaching and working with people one-on-one over like workshops are great as well, but I just prefer to help lead people through that transformation in that kind of a container. So the next question is like, how do I manifest something and how do I know it's gonna work? So with manifesting, I really think like it gets like kind of a rap as being like super woo woo, and like I have nothing wrong with that, but I'm like also when you break it down on a scientific level, like we can really, I guess they can prove, if you will, that like manifestation is a thing. Like if you follow any of like Joe Dispenza's work, or you know anything about quantum physics, like quantum physics tells us that like every reality that we can imagine exist, we just need to vibrationally align ourselves with that reality. And the part, like the way we manifest is like how we feel and think about something, and like what we're predominantly focusing on. So my manifestation process is, when I want to manifest something, I will kind of journal out like, okay, what do I want? How do I want it to look like? How do I think it's going to feel? And the feeling thing is the really key thing, because the only reason you want to manifest anything is because of the feeling that you think that it's going to give you. So if you can figure out what those key feelings are, and then you can really start figuring out like, okay, how can I feel that way right now? Like, how can I embody that right now? And also being like, okay, what does the version of me who has that thing, like how is she showing up in the world? Like what does she believe? Because I truly believe the only thing blocking you from having anything you want is a limiting belief. So when you can reprogram those limiting beliefs, get into the feelings of having it, and like focus on having it, and then be able to kind of surrender and trust that all your desires are like taken care of. That's the part where sometimes people get a little bit hung up on it, because a lot of it does come down to like that trust in the universe, and like that faith, and having like that trust muscle that like your desires are going to come through, and it's always like this or something better. So sometimes we don't get the things that we thought we wanted, because the universe is like, I have something better for you coming. So yeah, basically like figuring out what it is, what are the predominant feelings that you're going to get from having it, how can you embody those feelings now, and then waiting for those intuitive pings from the universe, like that intuition coming through and being like, giving you that guidance like, oh, you should talk to this person, or you should do this. So that's kind of my manifestation process. Next question is, how do I build a brand? So if you're building a brand for yourself, the great thing is you already have one. It's you. It's your personality, and it's like the way you see the world. It's the way you make people feel. Like, so when people are trying to figure out what their brand is, I'm like, okay, like first we just really need to dig into like, who are you, and like, what makes you you? Like, what are the things you love? What are colors that you vibe with? Like, what are like 3 words that would describe your personality? And like, these are really the things that make you you, because you want to be showing up as you possibly can be, so that your ideal clients find you, and when they see you, they're straight away like, oh my God, that's the person for me, because you're showing up authentically as yourself. And then also, because branding, I think people sometimes get stuck on it being like, oh, it's just font colors, or like my website, or my logo, and like, no, like the brand determines those things, not the other way around. So when you really know who you are, and you can own who that is, and you can show up as that person, then that's going to be able, you can so easily answer the questions like, okay, well, like, what are the colors that represent me? If I was a website, what would I look like? And then also just really owning all of who you are, because when you show up and you are able to authentically own who you are and what you're here to do and what your message is, and you can own the parts of yourself that you think are unlovable, then you will feel so okay with showing up fully as who you are in the world and online and in your business. And that energy is so magnetic to people. And when you're showing up as you, your ideal clients are going to be so drawn to that because they're like, oh, she knows who she is. I vibe with that. It's just a no-brainer because when they feel like they know and they like and they trust you, that's when they're going to buy from you. So it just is really about you getting real about who you are. How does that translate into like font brand, like colors and your website and your messaging? And then that's going to give you like the brand that you are. So that's a short answer, but that's how you build a brand. And then the last one is, how do I get comfortable on video? So with everything in the world, nobody is usually comfortable with something the first time they do it. And I think it's funny with video because I'm like, most people don't have a problem with just showing up face to face with someone and having a chat with them in person. And then we get so hung up on this idea of like people massively judging us for showing up on the internet. And it's like, I know it feels scary at first, but I'm gonna say it's like absolutely anything else. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Like, I really don't think there's any other, like, there's no shortcut to becoming comfortable in doing something aside from just doing it over and over and over. And like, that's not always the answer that people like, but I think that's pretty much the answer that I have to give. A couple of things that helped me initially were just, I would imagine like I'm talking to a friend. That makes it a whole lot easier to be a lot more conversational. And then letting that go of the idea that you have to show up and be perfect, because sometimes when we show up and we have this idea that like we can't fumble our words, or we can't say the wrong thing, or we have ums or ahs or whatever, that's when we really start messing up, because we have this idea that we need to show up and be perfect, and we don't need to show up and be perfect. We just need to show up and like get our message out there and like share whatever we have that we need to share. And like, I know that you have something that is so valuable that people need the message you have to give. So it's really up to us to kind of like get over our fears of showing up and be able to just go out there and like share that message, and stop thinking that it's all about us, and focusing on like, how can we be of service to other people? Like, how can I showing up and sharing this message be of service to someone else, instead of sitting there and being like, oh my God, what if somebody thinks something bad about me? Because here's the thing is like, people are going to think good things about you, and people are going to think bad things about you, and people are going to think nothing about you as well. So it's really not on us to have everyone like us. It's just on us to like ourselves and to show up as ourselves. And I feel like with everything in business, it ends up becoming like a personal development and mindset lesson, because the thing about succeeding in business is it's really, you need to learn how to master yourself and be good at setting goals for yourself and just reaching those goals and figuring out what you need to do to get to the next one. I remember I was in school and one of my teachers said like, the only difference between like a business and a project is like a project has an end date and a business doesn't have one, hopefully, because you hopefully will always be in business. But it's like, we just need to break it down like that and see like, it's just each thing where you have to break down the tasks you have to do and figure out, okay, what do I need to do to get to the next one? And then each time you do it, being like, okay, what can I do better the next time? So long story short of like, how can you get comfortable on video? Just doing the damn thing, pretty much. Showing up. You don't have to go live the first time. Like, even just practicing recording videos like on your phone when there's no pressure of like being live or talking to an audience, and just like recording videos and just doing it a couple times so that you get comfortable with it. And that's really the best way forward. And no one has to see the videos. You can just do this at home in your room by yourself. Like, the barrier to entry has never been lower for us to get our message out there. Like, there's never been a time where it's like people were able to just create all the media they wanted to create. So like, I think it's so interesting that usually the people that question themselves the most are the ones who like most need to share their message, but they're scared to. And then the people who don't think about it and they just create it with so much ease, sometimes it's not really always what's meaningful. Or I don't know, I guess, where am I going with this? I'm just saying that like, I think that if you have a message and you need to share it with the world, you just need to stop letting yourself get in the way, and you just need to keep taking those baby steps and sharing your message, because you never know who's going to see it, and you never know who you're going to help and who you're going to impact. So we just need to learn to start loving and accepting and forgiving ourselves so that we can show up and share our light with the world. And that's pretty much it. That's all I had for the questions for today. So thanks for joining, and I will talk to you guys later.